If you retire with $3 million, there's a very good chance you'll end up in the 22% tax bracket, even if you don't spend that much. And it usually happens automatically by the time required minimum distributions begin, not because of bad investing, but because of how income stacks. Most people with $3 million saved assume they will never see the 12% tax bracket in retirement. They're right, because they never planned for it. The people who miss it are not missing it because they saved too much. They're missing it because of three specific income sources, which often push them out of the 12% bracket, often before they even start spending their money. And once you miss this window, it closes permanently. I've seen couples with $2.5 million in savings pay an effective federal rate of 24% in retirement. And I've seen couples with $3 million paying an effective rate of 14%. Similar asset levels, completely different outcomes. The difference was not investment returns, it was income sequencing. I'm Ryan Knoll, founder of NAV Wealth Partners, and today I'm going to show you the three income sources that cause this and the framework for keeping income inside of the 12% bracket. If your retirement plan doesn't include a tax bracket target, that's exactly what this channel is for. Hit subscribe. We do this every week for people in your situation. Now here's what actually causes this and why it happens automatically. The 12% federal bracket for married filing jointly gives you about $76,000 worth of room to work with. The reason most $3 million retirees don't stay in it is not that their expenses are too high. It's that three income sources push their taxable income too high, often without spending a dollar more than they had planned. The first one is the biggest, and it alone can push you out of the 12% bracket before you even touch any of your money. It's required minimum distributions. A $3 million 401k growing at 6% becomes roughly $4.3 million by age 73. The first RMD on that balance is approximately $170,000. That single distribution alone, before any other income, pushes a married couple firmly into the 22% bracket. The 12% window closed before they withdrew a dollar for living expenses. The RMD is not optional. You cannot delay it, reduce it, or redirect it. Once it begins, it is income, whether you need it or not. The second source is Social Security taxation. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefit becomes taxable income once provisional income exceeds $44,000 for married filers. For a couple receiving $50,000 in combined benefits, that means over $40,000 of additional taxable income on top of those required minimum distributions, on top of any investment income they receive, automatically, whether they plan for it or not. This hits hardest at the $2 to $5 million level because investment income from brokerage accounts pushes combined income above the threshold before a single 401k withdrawal is made. And the last source is investment income from the taxable brokerage account. Dividends, interest, and capital gains from a taxable brokerage account generate income regardless of whether you sell anything or not. A $600,000 account at a 3% yield produces $18,000 per year. Stack $18,000 of investment income on top of Social Security exposure, and you have over $60,000 of taxable income before a single 401k withdrawal or RMD. The 12% bracket ceiling is $100,800. That leaves about $40,300 of room left, and the entire living expense budget still needs to come from somewhere else. And that's how the 12% bracket disappears before you've even decided how you're going to spend your money. So the 12% bracket doesn't disappear for you, it requires managing all three income sources deliberately, and starting before your required distributions begin. So if we simplify this, the entire strategy comes down to three moves: shrink the IRA, control when income shows up, and keep passive income from creeping in. I'll show you exactly how to do that over the next 2 minutes. Part 1, reduce the RMD before it starts. The only way to reduce a future RMD is to shrink the account before it starts. That means drawing from the traditional 401k strategically between retirement and required minimum distribution age before your distributions are forced. If you retire at 65 and draw $60,000 per year from your 401k for 8 years, you reduce the balance by approximately $480,000. On a $3 million account, that's the difference between $4.3 million RMD starting point and something closer to $3.8 million. Your first RMD would drop from about $170,000 to $140,000. So you're still not in the 12% bracket yet, but you're meaningfully closer. Add Roth conversions of $30,000 to $40,000 per year on top of that in years where income is still manageable and the pre-tax balance shrinks even further. By 73, the RMD may be small enough to keep the combined income inside the 22% bracket with a realistic path to 12% in years where Social Security is timed well. Next, you need to time Social Security to manage the taxation threshold. Delaying Social Security to 70 is not always the right answer at this asset level. At this asset level, Social Security timing isn't a break-even decision. It's a tax bracket decision. Take it at the wrong time and you lose your best window to control your taxes. For many $3 million retirees, the years between 65 and 70 are the lowest income years of retirement. RMDs haven't started, Social Security hasn't started, and that is the window where the 12% bracket is most accessible, and where Roth conversions have the most room to operate. Taking Social Security at 70 compresses the window and adds additional income in the years that were otherwise your best opportunity for low bracket conversions. Now the third one is smaller, but it is still where people lose control, and that is managing investment income through asset location. The $18,000 of passive brokerage income is not entirely controllable, but it is manageable. Holding interest-generating assets inside the IRA rather than the taxable account and holding qualified dividend stocks in the taxable account reduces ordinary income generated passively each year. The difference between a brokerage account generating $18,000 of ordinary income and one generating $12,000 of qualified dividend income, which is taxed at 0% inside of that 12% bracket, that's $6,000 of annual tax savings without changing your lifestyle. And when you combine all three of these, shrinking the IRA, controlling when income shows up, and managing what shows up passively, you stop reacting to your tax bracket and start controlling it. If you haven't modeled whether the 12% bracket is achievable in your specific situation, I put together a free resource called the $3 million Retirement Readiness Scorecard. It's 10 questions, and most people can't answer all of them. The link is in the description. Go check it out. Here's what this actually looks like for a real couple and how this changes their outcome. Without a plan, this couple gets pushed into the 22% bracket by their early 70s, driven almost entirely by RMDs and Social Security stacking. With a plan, they use the 5-year window between 65 and 70 to deliberately stay within the 12% bracket and reduce the size of the problem before it compounds. They retire at 65 with $2 million in a 401k, $600,000 in a Roth, $400,000 in a taxable brokerage account. In those early years, they draw from the 401k and convert to Roth, filling up the 12% bracket on purpose. By the time Social Security starts at 70, the 401k balance has already shrunk by about $500,000. Their first RMD at 73 is closer to $70,000 instead of $120,000, and the Roth has grown to about $1.3 million. This result is not perfect, but it's roughly $130,000 to $150,000 less in lifetime taxes and far more control over their tax bracket for the rest of retirement. In the 12% window, those 5 years between 65 and 70 was the mechanism that made this all possible. The 12% bracket is not realistic for every $3 million retiree in every year of retirement, but it is realistic for most people in the window between retirement and Social Security if they use it deliberately. The three income sources that push you out of it are RMDs, Social Security taxation, and passive investment income. And they're not surprises. They are predictable, and the framework to manage them isn't complicated, but it does require timing, using the right tools, and starting before the window closes. But the timing matters, because once the window closes, your options get a lot more limited. If you want to see what this actually looks like in your situation, your accounts, your timing, your income, that's exactly the conversation that belongs on my calendar. The link is in the description. And if this gave you something to think about, share it with someone heading into retirement without a bracket strategy. Most people don't know they can have one, because the difference between reacting to your taxes and controlling them is everything. See you in the next video.